Well, good afternoon or noon, at least. It's noon and it's Thursday, so this is Coffee with Ralph. We're coming up on Independence Day here in the United States, and I think that's what I've been talking about all this time now that, you put two and two together, if you will, is our independence. As we grow older, our independence isn't what it was when we were in our 20s, is it? As we're looking at Independence Day, we think about all the men that gave up their lives so that we could be free and do life our way. But here we are, we're getting older. And I will speak for myself. And I'm getting older and I'm not capable of doing all the things that I once did all at one time. The last weekend I was out doing some landscaping and some work around the yard. And, I'd have to work for a couple hours and take a break. And yeah, you know what? It was hot, but geez, back in my 40s, even my 30s, even my 50s, I'd have been out there all day, sweating my butt off and getting things done and accomplishing a lot more than I did over the weekend. But what does that really got to do with this thing we're going to talk about, which is long-term care? Here the other day, I got a flag from one of the companies that I work with, one of the corporations, I should say, one of the firms, certification for long-term care group, the CLTC group. And it became obvious to me with this thing, this white paper, that this thing I keep talking about, which is making sure we have our plans put in place as we get older for what we want for our care, is something that nobody's doing. And the reason I say that is the actual title of this white paper. And if you'd like it, I'll provide it to you. Just give me a blast in the messages, or email me at ralph@fireproofmg.com and I'll make sure you get it. And also remember that coffeewithralph.com is a free 15-minute call with me, and we can discuss whatever you choose to discuss. But here's the title of this white paper: How to Ensure It's a Good Match Between Your Loved One and Their Caregiver or Facility. Okay. So now it's up to my loved ones to decide for me what I should get, who I should get for a caregiver besides them. Well, the family's going to step up and, bless them for doing that. But the truth of the matter is we don't want them to. And as I look through this list of things, skills and qualifications. Well, we want our people to be skilled and we want them to be qualified. Cultural considerations. Is that important? Is the ethnicity of your caregiver important? Is religious beliefs of your caregiver important? Is that something maybe our children should know if they're going to be the ones that help us as we get older, just like we've helped our parents as they age? Or is this something we should just let them figure out for themselves? Well, they should know. They're my kids. They've known me their whole life. They should know what I want. Yeah, well, it doesn't work either. So is this thing of it called independence, is this really a pipe dream as we get older? Is this really something we're going to fight to hold on to at whatever the cost, like we did for the independence of our country, for example, or freeing Germany from the tyranny of Hitler, or whatever war you want to pick that we fought for somebody's independence? Are we going to do that? You know the answer to that? Yes, we're going to. Yes, we're absolutely going to. We've taken our whole life and we've never been dependent on anybody, 100% dependent. So what in the world? Why would we not fight to keep our independence? And if you hear a few voices in the background, I apologize for that. Somebody's walking on the hallway of the studio here, being a little loud. But anyways, it's back to this thing called independence. Is it important? For example, in this paper, is gender important? These are all the things, I've been putting together this workshop, mastermind, whatever you want to call it, course. Somebody said I should make it a course about putting together a cohesive plan for our care as we get older, so that it's all spelled out. This is what I want. Now, I don't care how specific you get in your plan. There's going to be places in there that, well, frankly, we can't think of everything. So we got to hope that our kids know us well enough to know whatever that might be when it pops up, right? Like gender. Is it important if you're going to have to perform some of those highly personal duties, like bathing or using the toilet? Is it important what gender helps you there? I'll tell you probably yes about that one. I think that's very important. The one thing they keep talking about through here is for the loved one to be comfortable and gel, if you will, with that caregiver. Well, we know we're going to gel with our kids most of the time. But physical size is in here too. Is that important when we're talking about independence? Aren't everything I'm talking about here, aren't they the decisions that will maintain our independence? Physical size of the caregiver. My goodness, if I'm 250 pounds and my caregiver is 100 pounds and I go down, or I'm just wobbly and I need something to grab onto, it's not going to be that 100-pounder. If if I need assistance getting into the tub, for example, is that going to be a 100-pounder that moves the 250-pound body around? I don't think so. So we need somebody that's physically capable, mentally capable, skilled, qualified, and personable. We need somebody we can talk to. Somebody might listen. Somebody that's pretty good at conversation. Maybe not. And as we progress further down this road, we all know that Alzheimer's and dementia are in our future there someplace, because age is the number one leading cause of Alzheimer's and dementia. So as we get older, we're more apt to get Alzheimer's. Now they're talking about this thing and they call it adult memory issues. Well, they're just trying to be nice guys. But that independence question comes in a lot right in that point in time. I mean, if I'm in my late 60s and the doctor says, well, here, I want you to take this pill. It's going to help you with your adult memory issues. It's one of those I got to think long and hard on. The reason for it is now, according to several states and lawsuits brought on by several patients, once they took that drug, they basically said to the state through the court system that they're no longer capable of managing their own affairs. And family, in both cases, stepped in, took over the finances, took over everything. And I don't know about you, but there's times when I don't remember what I had for breakfast. But it's not that I have Alzheimer's. It's that I didn't care to remember it. It was not an event I needed to worry about. It's normal. So the independence question comes in there. If I start taking that drug, can somebody take my independence because I've told the court that I'm no longer capable of managing my own affairs? And in several cases now throughout the United States, the answers come back, yes, they can. Because you basically said, I agree, as soon as you start taking the drug. So, we have to really look at this thing called independence, and we really have to struggle with what might happen if we don't have it any longer. It's one thing to lose your independence all at once. Like somebody breaks the law and all of a sudden they're in jail, right? They've lost all their independence. They're told when to do it, what to do, how to do, and why they shouldn't be doing whatever else they're supposed to be doing. But there's this other piece of this puzzle that says that we're going to lose our independence a little bit at a time because we're going to have to start relying on other people to help us do things. Nothing wrong with that. We should rely on others to help us when we can't do it. But we have to look at it before it gets to this point, and we have to start spelling these things out so that if there's ever a question and something happens and we no longer are cognitive, or we've given up our independence for one reason or another, they need to know what we want from them. We need to know what we expect from our caregiver, from our family, from our doctors, from our financial advisor. They need to know that. They need to know it for a number of reasons. I'm going to start talking next week, I think, on the tax implication. And I'll have a CPA on to discuss this with me. The tax implication of needing care. I mean, in here, in a latest white paper put out by the CLTC group, they spell it out plain and simple. There aren't many people in this world that can actually afford on an ongoing basis to have a $5,000 to $10,000 adjustment to their monthly budget. That's, you heard me, $5,000 to $10,000 a month. That's now the new figures for what this thing called care can cost. So finding the right caregiver goes past which family member. It goes into independence. What are we going to keep it? How are we going to keep it? What's it look like? And above all else, when I can't anymore be independent, where do I expect to be? Am I going to be at home? Do I want to be in a facility? I don't want to be living with children. You know the stories here. So you know what you want. It's time we start writing it down. Hey, listen, I mentioned it once. This is Coffee with Ralph. And coffeewithralph.com is a free 15-minute call with me. If you need more time, you can ask for more time in the response. We'll take whatever time you need to talk about the subject you want to talk about. Hey, I need you to have a great, well, I don't need you to. I'd like you to have a great 4th of July. Eat lots of food, enjoy your independence, celebrate the independence.